Your soul is exploding. You're too big for the third dimension. If life has left you feeling hurt, overwhelmed, or like you just don't belong here, it's not your fault. There is a very important hidden spiritual reason for this. It's because of how your soul frequency interacts with 3D reality. You see, you have a very special soul that is in a very elite class of beings. In short, your soul frequency is too powerful to fully fit inside this 3D reality. So the pain you feel isn't a mistake or a curse, it's a signal. A sign that your true inner essence is pushing through, breaking free, and allowing you to rise to a whole new level of conscious existence. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly why your soul experiences so much pain in life, and how this is actually your greatest sign of awakening, and how you can use it as a gateway to shift beyond the third dimension and claim your true higher dimensional power. You see, your soul is too powerful to fit inside the third dimension. This is why your pain is a good sign. So again, as I keep saying, this reality is the opposite of what we've been told. We've been told that we're tiny little beings that have been smashed into earth. We've been created by something else, and we've been thrown here, and our soul has been smashed inside of this body, trapped in it, and that we are victims of circumstance and we are dependent on beings and entities outside of us. And that is 100% false. The truth is, you are an extremely powerful higher dimensional being. That's what your soul is. And you have chosen to come here in order to grow. But you can't possibly know what it's like to be in the third dimension until you actually get here. And then when you get here, you find out how very challenging it is. And again, the reality is that your soul experiences things very profoundly, and you're smashed into this little pixelated three-dimensional video game where it just doesn't fit, and you start coming apart. High-level souls feel existence very intensely. Their feelings can't fit into a small 3D avatar. This 3D Earth is meant to be a difficult soul experience. So the fact that you're having difficulty is accurate. It's supposed to be difficult. This again is something that we haven't been told. It's difficult because you don't learn anything if things are too easy. So when you're the most powerful being in existence, and trust me, you are, when that most powerful of beings tries to grow, they have to put themselves in a very difficult, challenging environment. And that's what you did. Ideally, in this 3D environment, the soul learns to adjust to the rules of the game. So the way this was supposed to work is that you're this huge being that has intense experiences that are quantum leaps far beyond anything that we've experienced in the third dimension. And then you're instantly smashed down into this little tiny third dimensional avatar that can only handle so much input and so much feelings and so much consciousness. And yeah, it's going to be very difficult. That is a given. So the idea is that we would be able to, adjust. We will adjust ourselves to the rules of this game. But unfortunately, that doesn't happen all the time. So with the intense souls, they can't fully integrate with their 3D avatars. When this happens, the 3D avatar can actually malfunction. All right, so speaking for myself, I've malfunctioned many times in my life. And just about everybody I know has malfunctioned. By malfunctioning, what I mean is not acting consciously or constructively. Now, some people's malfunction, it becomes this cascade of dysfunction in their life. They can't function internally within themselves. They can't function externally with others. They can't seem to grasp how this world works. They're constantly in a state of depression or anger or drug addiction, alcohol addiction, narcissism, codependence. All of these are signs that the person is too much for their tiny 3D avatar, and their avatar is starting to malfunction. When this happens, the soul tries to revert to higher dimensional behavior. So higher dimensional behavior means they start to try to function with the intensity that they're able to function with in higher dimensions. And when you function in higher dimensions in a very intense way, it is always a blessing. It's a blessing for you and for others. You are able to operate 100% from love, from consciousness. You are able to connect with all things. So everything just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. It's like the best drug you've ever taken, except there's no negative side effects and you don't do anything stupid. But when you try and operate on that level in the third dimension, things start to really go haywire. So when the soul tries to revert to higher dimensional behavior, the 3D avatar can't handle that much intensity, and it causes a 3D meltdown. So this meltdown can happen in just about any way you can imagine. Bottom line is, everything that happens that people do that's negative, that's destructive either to themselves or to others, what's happening is that they're having a 3D meltdown. They're trying to operate from a higher frequency. They're desperately trying to get back to their soul frequency, and they can't do that while they're here. And so everything starts breaking down, and that's when people start completely losing it. So we must remember that this 3D Earth is an experiment. It's not what you've been told. There isn't some God on a throne who made a perfect world and you went in there and what's that? You made a mistake, you're a sinner, and now you have to be punished for eternity? That's not what this is. It wasn't designed perfectly. It's not even supposed to be taken as a perfect environment. The whole idea of it is this is an experiment. It is a game. It is something that it's something we use to learn from. So you never learn if you don't fall down. You know, little kids don't come out of the womb just ready to run a marathon. I mean, they can barely function. They start to walk, they fall all over the place. You can't learn if you don't make mistakes. So we must remember that this 3D Earth is an experiment. There are bound to be malfunctions and breakdowns. This is how data is gathered. So this third dimensional experiment is higher dimensional beings, which means you, wanting to understand more deeply consciousness, become even more conscious. And so to do that, you have to study it. What's the best way to do that? You put consciousness in an extremely difficult test, and you find out what works and what doesn't. And by finding out what works and what doesn't, you learn how to become an even more powerful soul. So, you know, this whole idea that, you know, the spiritual beings come down and, you know, they use the word avatar. These avatars come down like, you know, the story of religious figures and prophets, and that, you know, float around and they don't make any mistakes and everything is perfect. That is our fantasy. That is our childish projection of what we want to have happen to us. But it was designed to be the opposite. So I'm here to tell you that against everything that you've been told, and even against everything that you might think, the people out there that are making the biggest mistakes are probably the most powerful beings there are. Because if you got here and everything was easy, then, what does that say? Maybe you're an incredibly powerful being. Maybe you're one making your way up. But sometimes these incredibly powerful beings just can't handle being smashed into something so tiny. And so there's a cascade of mistakes that happen. So your pain means that you are too powerful for this lower frequency. I know you've been told the opposite, that your pain means that you're a wimp, that you're a screw up, that you're evil, whatever. You're weak. It's the opposite. Your pain means that you are too powerful for this tiny little third dimensional frequency. So this also means that you can ascend much more quickly if you are aware of this phenomenon. So logically, it makes sense. If you are a much larger spiritual being with much more power, then it means that you'd be able to ascend much more quickly. But it also means you have to interface with this third dimensional experiment. So you have to find a way to make it easier for you to expand into this environment. So the obvious answer is to expand the frequency of the experiment. That'll give you room to breathe. You'll be able to function better. So whatever you do, don't give up. So your pain means that you are too powerful for this lower frequency. It also means that you can ascend much more quickly if you are aware of this phenomenon. If you can focus your energies to access higher dimensional frequencies, your avatar will adjust. All right, so this is where things, I know from personal experience and I know from observation, this is where things can get very interesting because our avatar is wired for a lower frequency. Now we try to adjust. You spent your whole life trying to adjust, trying to survive. So you've learned how to walk away from higher frequencies because they frighten you. They frighten your avatar. They don't frighten your soul. They frighten your avatar. So ironically, though, the way out is for you to expand into your higher dimensional frequencies within your avatar. So you have to work with your avatar to help your avatar ascend. Your avatar is going to be frightened. Your human mind, your human nervous system, your human programming is going to react with fear and with self-sabotage. In short, you're going to want to run away. Even though it's very blissful, your first reaction is to want to run away from it. So you have to be aware that that is going to happen, and you have to be willing to do the opposite of that and focus on ascending. You have to lean into it and allow yourself to expand. So the urge to run and have an avatar meltdown is strong, but you can choose to integrate and overcome. So that's very important. You have to make a conscious decision to integrate. What's happening with people who are having meltdowns is that they've gone unconscious. They're no longer consciously interacting, and it's understandable because your higher consciousness doesn't know what to do with this world. And so especially, if you're a very powerful soul, you come here, it's like nothing makes any sense. The rules don't make any sense, and then things start going bonkers. So you have to make the choice. You have to decide, I'm going to work with my avatar, but I am going to do the little tweaks on it so that it will be able to handle the higher dimensional energy. And then your avatar will adjust. So you can increase your avatar's frequency by accessing your heart center stargate. So we've been talking about this. I've just come to understand this more fully recently as a result of my work, my practices, my research, and my communication with higher dimensional beings. In fact, I think it's the reason that I came here this time was to reveal this secret of the heart center stargate. So again, your body isn't a prison. Your soul isn't this independent energy that's trapped inside of this meat bag. That's not what's happening at all. The truth of the matter is that your higher dimensional, more powerful self is continuously projecting your soul energy into this body. So even though you think you want to die, the truth is if your higher dimensional self said, okay, this experiment is over, your soul would leave, your body, your heart would stop, and you'd drop dead. So if you're not dead, it means that your higher dimensional self is going, no, there's something we can do here, and I'm going to send my consciousness into that heart center stargate. And we've talked about the power that this has. So you can increase your avatar's frequency by accessing your heart center stargate. When you activate the stargate, your avatar will expand to accommodate your larger soul essence. You'll be able to breathe. You will be able to experience more bliss. You will be able to experience more consciousness, more awareness. You will be able to communicate to beings in higher dimensions. You will be able to function on multiple dimensional levels, but that's not going to work if you're operating from your third dimensional programming, which is telling you to run away, telling you to stay little. So you have to say, no, I'm gonna expand, I'm gonna get bigger. So when you activate the stargate, your avatar will expand to accommodate your larger soul essence. Now, unfortunately, the powers that be are working furiously to increase your avatar meltdown, but you can defeat them. So the powers that be have known for at least 13,000 years everything that I've just said. And they know how to manipulate your lower dimensional frequency to take over so that it clouds the ability of your soul to access its higher dimensional self. That is going to drive you completely crazy. It's going to cause you incredible pain. But they know how to manipulate and take advantage of your fear, of your confusion, and they know how to keep you in a state of continuous meltdown. Because when you're in a state of meltdown, then you can be manipulated. You can be accessed through fear, through the fear of survival, through the fear of not being loved and accepted, and you can be convinced to do all kinds of things that your soul just wouldn't allow. So by using the heart stargate, you can flood this 3D matrix with your higher soul frequency and transform this into a 5D world. Okay, so this is something that has not been available for humans up until right now. The practices that I've been spending my whole life learning have been forbidden for a reason. And the reason is because the average person, and I know again from observation as well as my own experience, back then, 20, 30 years ago, when the average person opened up the heart stargate and tapped into these higher dimensional energies, they flipped out. They ran in the other direction. And they understandably thought that we were dealing with something that was evil, that was wrong. They also saw the power that people had that tapped into it. And the people who tapped into it, they started to look weird because they didn't follow any of the rules, and they had awarenesses, and people thought these sorcerers are evil. There's something wrong with them. You stayed away from them unless you needed their help. Well, guess what? Now we no longer have to worry about being either a tiny little soul, uncomfortable in a smaller third dimensional avatar and having our own meltdowns, or the other option was to open up the stargate and start to expand, but you're stuck in this third dimensional world where nobody understands anything, and you end up having to be this crazy lunatic that, has all these powers. Those were your only two options. And now there's a third option. The frequency on this planet is shifting. The planet is shifting, with or without us, it is shifting. And so when we tap into these higher dimensional frequencies and we expand into it, being on this planet starts to have purpose. We start to have hope. Now there's a crazy world out there, but that crazy world is not operating on the frequency of this planet any longer. So everything that's happening in the governments, everything that's happening in the banks, everything that's happening, all that normal 3D human society stuff, it's a reason why it's all falling apart. And this is why things are getting even more dangerous and crazy right now. But it's a sign. Their system doesn't exist anymore. Their frequency doesn't exist. And so everything they're trying to do, even covering up the sun, they're really doing that. Everything that they're trying to do to try and keep the frequency down, it's too late. That ship has sailed. That plane has already taken off. We are in a new frequency. And so you're either going to get left behind and get run over by it, or you're going to lean into it and you're going to expand and go through a transformation and be lifted up. But right now is the challenging part because we are going through the transition. So I am here to give you the tools if you want them, if you can handle it. I am here to give you the tools to help you make this shift and to appreciate and enjoy the intensity that we're experiencing. So, as you know, the heart center stargate, this has been unknown based on everything that I've seen. And this includes high-level yoga, kundalini yoga, shamanism, all of that. There's only one group of people that actually understood what this stargate was, and that was the Maoshan Taoists. These were the first Taoist mystics, the first ones. And they were so powerful that all the other Taoist temples were modeled after them. But they didn't teach all the other Taoist temples the most powerful truths. And that's because people couldn't handle it. And so later on, the term Maoshan became associated with dark, evil sorcerers. But that's what the other Taoists would say because they were afraid and they were jealous. But now we are ready for it. So I'm here to teach you that. So here's what you do if you're a beginner. If you're just starting out, tapping into this Stargate heart center higher dimensional energy. So the Maoshan practices for beginners, the 90-day warrior lightning qigong. Very simple. You go to thunderwizard.com right here and you click on memberships. And when you click on memberships, you're going to see, I believe this is what I want to show you. Nope. What you are going to see is this. You will see Warrior 90-Day Lightning Qigong. You click on that and you subscribe. It's very simple. Just follow the directions. There are multiple phases in it. But that first section I am going to teach you. Nobody's ever done this before. I've combined regular Qigong, which is energy work, with Kundalini Yoga, with the Stargate higher dimensional Maoshan practices. Took me a long time to figure out how to bring these together without blowing up. I mean, I blew a few fuses trying to create it, but trust me, I figured out how to do it, and it all works, and it's very safe and it's very powerful. So if you're beginning, that's where you want to start. You want to start with the Maoshan beginner, which is the 90-day warrior lightning qigong. Now there is a small quantum butterfly hand set which is free with the lightning qigong when you get to phase 3. That's important because this is one of these higher dimensional energies that opens up the gates here in the wrists. We do a lot of movements like this, and this opens up the gates here, which goes directly to the Stargate, which normally is dormant. Normal qigong and yoga don't open it. So we actually open it. And what it does is it turns on the floodgates of higher dimensional energy, which is channeled through you from higher dimensions into your body. So you'll have that. This is all just in the beginning you can have this. So the small quantum butterfly hands is free with the lightning qigong. You can also go to Awakening the Immortals. Now this you would want to go to the shop. When you click on shop, Then when you go to thunderwizard.com, instead of memberships, you click on shop. And when you get there, you're going to see this page. When you scroll around, you see the Maushan Summoning the Immortals. That is a very affordable practice. That's for those of you who are like, I don't know what he's talking about. I don't know if I believe him. Good. Here, do this practice. It's very simple. And it's among the most powerful, and I did it purposefully so that you would know that I was telling you the truth. There's nothing like it. And I don't care if you're a master Qigong practitioner, a master yogi, a master shaman. If you do that summoning the immortals, you will see that this is an energy level that is on a much higher frequency. But it gets even better than that. So if you're a beginner, those are the things that you can do. These practices will help anyone experience what's called the Shin. You haven't heard of that unless you've been on my channel before. You've heard of Chi, you've heard of Kundalini, but you haven't heard of Shin. The Shi energy is higher dimensional frequencies that are so powerful that literally like if a demon appeared in front of you and you just allowed the Shi energy out, the demon would be neutralized, completely destroyed, turned to ash. That's how powerful this is. Imagine what it does to evil people. That's a whole other story. So if you've already done all of that, great. There's stuff that we can do. So now that puts you in the intermediate category. Intermediate category, the first thing you want to do is go get the 5-element spirit fighting sets. You can find that on the Patreon shop or here at maushan.thunderwizard.com. If your finances are an issue, then go to the shop at thunderwizard.com, click on the shop page, and you'll see each one of the spirit fighting sets is there individually. Start with wood. Start with wood and get all 5 of them. You're going to need to do that to go beyond into the intermediate stage. So the 5-element spirit fighting sets, and then we have the first set, Butterfly Hands of Creation. If finances are an issue and you need to go slowly, then go here to thunderwizard.com and get the first set, Butterfly Hands of Creation, and start working with that. Incredibly powerful. It's simple. It's deceptively simple. So even if you've done some of the other things, you're going to think this is too simple, but because of the angles and all kinds of other stuff I'm going to have to explain later, it's not simple at all. It's very powerful. But that's what you can get started with. But if you're ready to really get moving, you've done the 5-element spirit fighting and you're ready to move on, then get the first set, the spirit fighting first set. Now that you can only get at maushan.thunderwizard.com. Again, that is deceptively simple as well, but incredibly powerful. So that's the intermediate. We could talk about the advanced. I'm working on that. There are levels that go beyond that will give you the ability to leave this body, to destroy evil with your bare hands, just your energy, and give you the ability to, with your mind, experience intending reality. If you want to know why I'm able to do these live guided interdimensional meditations and put so much power into it, one of the reasons is because those higher spirit fighting sets have opened up my yi, my third eye intent. So I'm able to intend, and I'm able to bring people along with me. If you've done the meditations, you know how powerful they are. Now you know where I'm getting my power from. You want that power? I want to teach it to you. I am committing myself for the rest of my life to teach this to anybody who wants to learn. All right? So this is, what's going to happen. You see, you open up this heart stargate and your toroidal field, which we all have, no matter who you are. But when you open up the heart stargate, the toroidal field becomes much stronger. And then, as I said, there are gates here in the hands that when you activate this, it opens up the stargate, and then energy starts coming out of the palms. And if you've watched the practical applications of the spirit fighting kung fu forms, you see I barely touch people, and the amount of power that goes through my hands to them is something that I could talk about that for a long time. But then we want to get to the point where we open up all of the energy centers with this power. And this is when you open up the Qi, Shi, and Yi, as well as the lower centers. When you do that, now you're on the level of one of those crazy sorcerers that you read about. We're no longer living in a fantasy movie. It's now real, if you want it. So I'm here to help you. If you would like, you know where to go. So I'll leave it there today. This is Saturday. In a couple hours, we're going to be doing a live guided interdimensional CE5 meditation. So who knows what's going to happen. Please show up if you can. If you can't, go to the live section and you can watch it after it's been archived. Be sure to subscribe to this channel and hit the notification button so that you know when I've uploaded a video. That's it, my friends. Check both of these websites out. Really scroll around and see what's there. And leave comments, and you can ask me questions. I'll do whatever I can to help anybody who's serious about learning. With that, my friends, I wish you all the best, and I look forward to seeing you very soon.